On Jackie Robinson Day, the Rangers did something they haven't done in nearly 3 years, and it looks like Texas has a new closer. We'll talk about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a crippling addicted Texas Rangers fan covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into the Rangers' 1-0 win against the Detroit Tigers, Michael Lorenzen making his season debut, today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit, I have a competitive side, and it is as a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on a classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Now, it seems like the Rangers have a new closer in town. Well, not new in town, but new in the closer's role after a rough start to the season for Jose Leclerc, who, even after a fantastic performance in 2 shutout innings from him in last night's win, still has an ERA of 9. But the Rangers' new closer has an ERA of 0, his first save of the season, and the Rangers' first 1-0 win in nearly 3 years. That's right, nearly 3 years. It was April 18th, 2021, the last time the Texas Rangers won a 1-0 game. Last year, they were 0-3 in 1-0 games at the wrong end. They had the Cardinals loss June 1st, where John Gray had a complete game, not quite shutout, and the only run that he allowed was on a solo home run. They also had a 1-0 loss to the Yankees in June 24th. And then, of course, the 1-0 loss to end the season to the freaking Seattle Mariners that ended up losing the Rangers the AOS on the last day of the season, October 1st. And before that, in 2022, the Rangers were 0-2 in 1-0 games. In fact, they've been pretty horrible in just one-run games in general, the last 2 years especially. Now, let's look at the last 3 years where the Rangers' record was in one-run games, because it's been bad, and it's part of the reason why the Rangers' expected win-loss record and why I think their true talent has been much better than their actual record the last 3 years. But in 2021, the Rangers were 18-21 in one-run games. Not great, but not awful. You're expecting to be around 500, around an average, win about as much as you lose if you're about an average talent team. Usually that's what happens. In 2022, they had the worst record I have ever seen in one-run games, 15-35. Just absolutely horrendous. Anytime it was close, the bullpen was bad, the offense got bad, and everything went to poo-poo. Then the Rangers bring in Bruce Bochy. They open up the contention window in 2023. You think, all right, surely they can't be that bad in one-run games again. And while it's true they weren't 15-35, but they were 14-22, still a horrific record in one-run games. An absolute miracle this team not only made the postseason, but nearly won their division, won 90 games with that horrific record in close games. That is, over the course of that 3-year span, the Rangers were 47-88, a 34.8% win percentage. That's a 162-game pace of 56 wins and 106 losses. That's how bad this team has been the last 3 years in one-run games. As of right now, the Rangers are 2-2. You want to go back and look at that last time the Rangers had a 1-0 win? It was an extra innings game against the Baltimore Orioles on April 18th of 2021. You want to look at who was batting leadoff? Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Nick Solak in the 2-hole, David Dahl hitting 5th. Kyle Gibson pitched a gem of 8 shutout innings. Rangers got a shutout inning from Ian Kennedy, and John King earning the win as the Rangers got the walk-off in 10 innings where Kyle Gibson outdueled John Means of the Baltimore Orioles. That's how long it's been since this Rangers team has gotten a 1-0 win. They were 0-5 the last 2 years since that 1-0 win in 2021. These are the type of games that the Rangers lost last year. These are the type of games the Rangers have lost the last couple of years, at least in the regular season. And so to see them grit out a 1-0 win when your starter gave you 5 innings of shutout work and was fine, solid. But 5 walks in 5 innings and 3 hits, it really, really working around quite a few base runners. Those 5 walks are kind of troubling from Lorenzen, but hey, he got 3 double plays. The Rangers got 3 double plays in this game. I think he only got 2 of them. I think Robertson was the one who got the 3rd double play. All of them from Josh Smith to Marcus Semien to Jared Walsh. And the Rangers got 4 shutout innings from their bullpen, 2 from Leclerc, who looked fantastic, honestly fantastic, working the 6th and 7th inning. David Robertson comes on in the 8th inning, gets a couple of base runners, gets a little shaky, but gets out of it. And then Kirby Yates comes on in the 9th inning, works a 1-2-3 inning. No mess, no drama, no worries at all for the Rangers getting that 1-0 win. This was a great sign for the Rangers, and honestly, I think the right time for Kirby Yates to move into the closer role. Now, I'm not by any means abandoning my hope on Jose Leclerc. I still think he is a very good reliever. I love what I saw from him in this, including one of the nastiest pitches I have seen in a while from him. A slider just dotted right at the knees, right at the edge of the strike zone. The hitter had absolutely no choice but to swing at it because it would have been a called strike 3 had he not swung at it. And, of course, he swung and he missed. 2 shutout innings from Leclerc, couple of strikeouts, no walks, 1 weak hit, and kept this game in the balance. The Rangers got just enough from their offense because, why would you need multiple runs? Who needs multiple runs? Honestly, it's excessive asking for multiple runs. It's not. And we'll get into the offensive struggles a little bit later on. But just having this team pull out wins like that, giving themselves confidence, giving their bullpen confidence, and having those roles solidified as Robertson is the 8th inning guy, with Yates as the closer now at this point, it's a good place to be in. And Kirby Yates might not be 2019 Kirby Yates, where he had a 1-something ERA for a full season and led the National League in saves, but he's been very, very good so far in 6 games this season. He's got 6 innings under his belt, 1 save, 5 strikeouts, a whip of .33. And you look at some of his expected numbers and some of the exit velocities and things like that. His chase rate is, in the top rate of baseball. He hasn't quite qualified to be on the qualifier board yet, but once he does, he will be way, way up there. He is using that fastball and that split finger, and he's thrown, I believe, 1 slider so far this season. Not all that many, but all the expected numbers say that the 0 ERA, while it's not sustainable, is, it's below 2. His expected ERA, the expected batting average, is below 200. He is not getting hit hard. He is getting a lot of chases. The strikeout rate isn't elite, but the walk rate is exceptional at 5%. That is what he was doing when he was at his best. He was not walking anybody. The strikeout rate, his best year when he had a 1.19 ERA, his strikeout rate was 41.6%. Right now it's at 25%, which is kind of a little bit above league average, but not anything exceptional. But, he's not blowing guys by with his fastball. He's using it effectively. He is spotting it up, and he has got that command back, which was the question with him last year. The walk rate was 14.6% with him last year, and he was able to be effective enough for the Braves, but not the peak level of himself. When he is at his peak, he is a command and control guy, working on the edges of the zone, using that fastball, using that splitter effectively against righties and against lefties, getting that weak contact, and so far he's done that very, very well this season. Hasn't gotten himself into any jams, and he's got the experience as a closer to where you feel comfortable throwing him in there in that 9th inning role. And if he starts to falter, then the Rangers have another option in David Robertson. And if he starts to falter, then, whenever Josh Boers comes back, maybe he gets a shot at a closer's role for a little bit. Not entirely sure, but Jose Leclerc is still working his way back into form. The fastball velocity right now is around what it was last year at 95.1 miles an hour. Now, once it got to the playoffs, he was averaging closer to 97 on that fastball, really getting a lot more life on it, but still he's getting a lot of swings and misses. He's avoiding barrels for the most part. The chase rate isn't as good as it's been in the past. The extension is still what it is. The walk rate has been honestly kind of abysmal at this point, but if he is your 7th inning guy or your 6th inning guy at this point, maybe Latz is more the 7th inning guy, or maybe Leclerc is the 6th inning guy if Sborz is back and he's your 4th choice high leverage reliever. If that's where you are with Leclerc, that is a great, great place to be. Having the confidence in Yates, in Robertson, in this team to pull out 1-0 wins. That is what winning teams do. That is what teams who win their division do. And that is what teams hoping to win back-to-back World Series championships do. Coming up, we'll talk about Michael Lorenzen's start, a little bit about the offense getting some days off for Corey Seager and Wyatt Langford, and why I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about this team not hitting as much as I expected. Right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I've been told that I'm a competitive person, and it can really come out at game nights. Okay, well, I do have a competitive side. We all do, and my competitive side is being a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. The best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties just like in classic Monopoly. I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself, and the leaderboards show me who is the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get the app and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store and Google Play. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best way to get tickets for any kind of event that you're going to. Whether you're wanting to go to see a Rangers game, you want to go see a Rough Riders game, you want to go see music, comedy, theater, all kinds of different events, you can get your tickets on Game Time. They have got the fastest and easiest way to get all of your tickets. They've got last minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They've also got exclusive flash deals you can save with in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. They make it so easy to send the tickets directly to your phone, and they let you know up front exactly what you are going to pay, which is honestly my favorite part of the Game Time app, of the many favorite parts I have about the Game Time app. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, the Raiders have done a little bit of maneuvering with their rotation so far this season, with Cody Bradford on the IL. With Michael Lorenzen coming up off the IL, they have had to make a few different switches. They're waiting for Max Scherzer. I'll talk more about him and the latest update with him in the third segment of this show. But getting a solid start from Michael Lorenzen here was important for the Rangers. Granted, it wasn't as many pitches as I thought he would throw. He threw 79 pitches. He was supposed to be up to 90 pitches in this one, but after a little bit of a shaky outing and just working around base runner after base runner after base runner, the Rangers thought, all right, let's turn it over the pen for the final 4 innings. If we can get shutdown innings from the final 4 innings from this bullpen, or maybe just get some offense in this one against this Tigers team that has been a pretty good pitching team so far this year. I saw Reese Olson look fantastic in this one in a pitcher's duel and kind of outdueled Lorenzen outside of giving up the 1 run that ended up being the difference in the game. But the Rangers have needed what they've gotten out of all of their starters, and it seems like there could be another addition to this rotation on Thursday. Now it's going to be Dane Dunning in the final game of this series. It's going to be John Gray today as you are listening to this on Tuesday. And then it seems set up for, right now, it's TBD on Thursday against Kenta Maeda in the final game of this series. I think that spot could be reserved for a Jack Leiter call-up spot start, then probably sent immediately back down to the minor leagues. I would love to see Jack Leiter make his big league debut. I talked a lot about it on yesterday's show. There's been no official announcement. There probably won't be until tomorrow, but that would be about in line with Jack Leiter starting on normal rest. He has looked fantastic at times. He has looked very hard hit at times, but I think the thing that most impressed me with his most recent start, even though he did give up 3 solo home runs, 6 innings of work, he walked nobody, he struck out 10, and after getting hit very, very hard early in the game, he buckled down, he found his stuff, and he attacked hitters. He did not let the hard contact get to him. He diversified his pitches a little bit more, got some more swings and misses, and that's the kind of sign of, okay, this kid is taking a little bit of a step forward. He is no longer letting things spiral. If things start to get away from him early, he is able to rein things back in. And I think that's a level that you feel comfortable with Leiter coming in a spot start. Obviously, he's not going to, I don't think he's going to stick in this rotation right now. Eventually, that's what's hopefully going to happen. He's going to be a competent starting pitcher, maybe even a very good starting pitcher in this Rangers rotation for years to come. But right now, in the back end of a 17-game and 17-day stretch, everybody is tired. Giving this rotation another day to rest and be on 5 days rest as opposed to 4 days rest, I think would be helpful for everybody, especially if you can put Nate Eovaldi game 1 of that series in Atlanta, which is going to be a really tough one against one of the better teams in this league. But like I said, the Rangers are in a 17-game and 17-day stretch, and so that means guys are getting days off. And right now, the Rangers are very beat up in their lineup. Nathaniel Lowe is on a rehab assignment for the next 2 to 3 weeks, trying to get that oblique back into shape. Right now, he said he feels like it's fully healthy, but just getting it's fully back to being right. It's not hurt anymore. But there's a difference between it not being hurt anymore and it being, fully in shape and healthy and ready to sustain the rigors of a 162-game season and a 13 or 15 or 17-game postseason run, which the Rangers are hoping to be a part of this year. So it's going to be a longer rehab assignment for Lowe. And even Corey Seager he's been given 3 days off in the first 17 games. I think about once a week is probably what we're going to see Corey Seager be given days off at this point. We also saw Wyatt Langford given a day off at the same time as Corey Seager, so the Rangers down 2 of their probably best 4 hitters. It's been a little bit of a slow start for Corey Seager. I'm not really concerned yet, just a little intrigued, not worried by any means, but he is not hitting the ball hard as he is usually doing, as he has done the last couple years. He's walking a bit more. He is chasing a bit more. So I don't think he's fully right, but again, he's still hitting 300 with an on base at 400. So it's hard to be too worried about Corey Seager because even the baseline for not great Corey Seager is still really freaking good. And as for this offense, it was just one of those days you run into those pitchers, but it's been one of those days more often than not for the Rangers, basically the last week since that Ronel Blanco start on the 7th, on that Sunday game where the Rangers lost 1-3. Their offense has been stymied a bit more than you would like to see it, especially only scoring more than 3 runs in a game once in that series against the A's. They had an offensive outburst on Friday against the Astros, but that was more just them leaving JP France to the Wolves because the Astros are also in a pretty prolonged stretch without a day off, and they are also pretty injured in their rotation and a little bit in their bullpen. But outside of that, Blanco blanked them again on Saturday. I guess Ronel Blanco's amazing now, which is confusing. They only scored 1 run in this one. They only scored 1 run in that Sunday game against Blanco the first time. Only scored 2 in the second game against Blanco on Saturday. And seeing a pitcher twice in a week and you're not able to make the adjustments and get to him. I get that if you're facing off against, peak Justin Verlander or heck, even Christian Javier has been fantastic this season. So them not scoring a whole lot against him made sense. But things like that are starting to make me a little concerned looking at the depth of this lineup. And, when you have 2 all-star level hitters that are out, your best hitter in Corey Seager is not his full self. Adolis Garcia has been pretty darn good so far this year. You've gotten more than you expected out of Josh Smith, but Zeke Duran has had a little bit of a rough go of it. A nice 2-for-4 day for him yesterday. A couple of singles that were hard hit and some really good plate appearances, but what you're seeing from Jared Walsh has been not great, to the point where I don't think the Rangers are going to hesitate at all to just straight up cut bait with him once Nathaniel Lowe comes off the IL. Walsh had a fantastic spring training, but he's swinging and missing a lot at pitches in the zone, almost more than anybody at this point. He is not hitting balls as hard. He is not walking as much, and it's not been ideal for Walsh. And he also had, got the wrong end of a stick of a attempted sac fly where he was just very slow. The Rangers could have doubled their lead to 2-0, but he was just gunned out at home plate on a pretty good throw by Riley Green, and it wasn't particularly close. Again, it's hard to ask too much from a guy who's your, second or third choice first baseman, where the guy who won a Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove in consecutive years is on the IL to start the season for the first, month or so. Also, Josh Jung was absolutely exceptional for the first 4 games of the season that he played, and then he got hurt, and he's out till June 1st at least. That's a huge blow to your offense. And then you lose Justin Foscue as well. So things like this happen, and it's hard to ask too much from this Rangers offense. It's still scoring at a pretty decent rate. 87 runs in 17 games is not terrible by any means. It's not elite, and this team has not been hitting home runs at the rate that I would like them to. Right now the only hitters with multiple home runs are Jonah Heim's got a couple, Marcus Simeon's got a couple, Evan Carter now has a couple, and Josh Jung and Adolis Garcia. But right now you only have 1 home run from Corey Seager, only 0 home runs from Wyatt Langford, 0 home runs from Josh Smith and Leo Taveras. So you like to see a little bit more pop in this lineup. It's been kind of a trend around baseball for home runs to be down. But again, I'm not too concerned. And when you look at how hurt this lineup has been and how much has been asked of these guys already early on in the season to have this kind of a stretch, it kind of happens. But hopefully, sooner as opposed to later, this offense can start looking like what we expected. Come out and talk about this offense, hopefully getting a little bit more reinforcements and the rotation. Max Scherzer coming back significant earlier than anyone expected at this point a few months ago. Right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Are you struggling to close deals? B2B selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn's Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and it shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are more likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date, first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the right people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. Now, before we get into Max Scherzer's rehab process, I want to talk about the most thrilling, most fierce, most anger-inspiring rivalry in all of sports. That's right, it's Jonah Heim versus Major League umpires. The umps are at it yet again, and this time, although it wasn't technically a wrong call by the umpire, it feels wrong in spirit, and it's just a dumb rule that I am just so annoyed by it every time that I see it. And that rule, of course, is catcher's interference. And it didn't end up mattering in this game, but just spiritually it felt wrong. Because at this point, this was a clutch game. This was the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th inning, 1 out. Mark Canha doubles, and then up comes Spencer Torkelson, who is one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter in this Detroit lineup. He was down 0-1 in the count, and then David Robertson, with a runner on second base in a 1-0 game, makes a pitch, and Torkelson is super late on it. I believe it was a fastball. He's just incredibly late on it. There is no way he could have caught up to it, but because his bat hits Jonah Heim's mitt, it is ruled a catcher's interference. Now, not initially, but after replay review, because this is reviewable. Whether he hit the catcher's mitt or not is reviewable, but foul tips in a game-changing call on opening day, that kind of pitch, that kind of play is not reviewable, because, of course. And at this point, it's gotten to the point where I think if any replay review is involving Jonah Heim, it is not going to go this man's way. But again, technically, it is the correct call. But I feel like this catcher's interference rule is just silly. There are times where the catcher does interfere with the batter, and it does result in a swing and a miss, or just a missed pitch that the batter wouldn't have gotten. But at this point, I feel like you should be able to use a judgment call, because this batter was so late on this pitch that he was basically starting his swing as the ball was almost halfway in Jonah Heim's glove. Now, it wasn't quite that extreme, but still, there is no way with when Torkelson started his swing that he was ever going to even make contact with this pitch, no matter where Jonah Heim's glove was. So it doesn't really feel right that this guy was awarded first base, made it an even higher leverage situation, but hey, that's the way baseball goes sometimes. But it didn't really matter. David Robertson, high leverage, less high leverage, he still was able to do his job, got Kerry Carpenter to line out to Josh Smith, and then got a strike 3 call on Wenceel Perez, a beautiful curveball on a full count, just right in there, about belt high, honestly, that just was not expected from the batter Perez. A great inning of work by David Robertson, his 6th hold of the season, got the Rangers to the 9th inning where they got Kirby Yates on the mound for the save opportunity, his first save of the season. That was a great move for the Rangers, and a solid debut from Lorenzen, who, again, wasn't spectacular, but when you're looking at this performance, when you're looking at this game in general, and you're looking at where this team stands, especially with Bradford on the 15-day IL at this point, still waiting for Scherzer to come back, still waiting for Mahle to come back, still waiting for DeGrom to come back, and the frustration for the Rangers not signing Jordan Montgomery, who it seems like, looking back at the contracts that he was asking for and what people were offering him, and thinking that there was no way he wasn't going to get $100 million, and then he doesn't get $100 million and ends up dropping Scott Boras as his agent, which doesn't happen a whole lot, and I think Montgomery is absolutely within his rights and should drop Boras after an offseason like that, a bag fumbling like that. But yeah, after the Rangers didn't add any to bolster their rotation, and getting that last-minute signing of Lorenzen, I think really went overlooked, mainly because it happened like 5 seconds before the season started. But I really liked the move at the time. I thought, okay, that gives you just a little bit more depth, because at the start of the year, you were thinking Jose Urena is your number 6 starter. If someone gets hurt, it's Urena time, which not ideal for a team trying to contend for the AL West, trying to win their 2nd straight World Series. Again, you got those 3 guys that are on the IL coming off at some points, various points. Scherzer looking like he's going to come back much earlier than initially anticipated. But just getting a guy like Lorenzen, who's, technically was an all-star last year. I don't think the most deserving all-star we've ever seen. Not the least deserving all-star we've ever seen. So there is that. But just having a guy who's going to go out there every 5th day and be solid, passable, decent even, and sometimes good. And I think will be at times good. Now, 5 walks in 5 innings is not quite good, but the only 3 hits and 4 strikeouts and no runs, that's solid. And giving you 5 innings in his first start of the year, when he wasn't signed until about 5 seconds before the season started, that is a helpful player. And it was a team-friendly deal, just that 1-year deal, and eventually he might end up moving into the pen. Maybe he'll end up, staying in this rotation if he is all-star version of himself last year, or no-hitter version of himself from last year. But just adding that depth, because you can literally never have enough pitchers, is so freaking important, and I think so overlooked of this being a good signing. The fact that this guy was still out there where he was in the offseason after the season that he had, I know he tailed off a bit and moved to the pen with Philadelphia, but this guy can still start. It's a big workload for him, and he did all right last year. And there are a lot of teams that could have used Michael Lorenzen. And good on Chris Young for going and getting the only Michael Lorenzen on the market and solidifying this rotation, which is going to hopefully get some help at some point in May from a Hall of Famer, a 3-time Cy Young Award winner in Max Scherzer. Scherzer threw a live bullpen, a 25-pitch live bullpen on Monday. He is scheduled to throw another 40-pitch live bullpen session. That'll be on Friday. It'll have simulated innings, so he'll have stops and starts, which will be a little bit better of a look to see, all right, how fully healthy is he? He said he threw all of his pitches in this most recent bullpen, and he really just aired it out. So he said he was feeling great. Everything was feeling great, and if this bullpen goes well on Friday, then he will probably start a rehab assignment at some point next week. And the Rangers are saying at some point in May we can see him. Maybe it'll be mid-May. I think May 12th is probably the earliest we'll see him. It could be towards the late end of May. But Bruce Bochy was saying when talking about Max Scherzer and how impressed they've been of him blowing by these deadlines, he said that initially the Rangers were saying June for a Max Scherzer return after that herniated disc surgery, but they were really thinking late June. I was hoping early June, but they were thinking late June with that return for Scherzer from back surgery, and being 39 years old, it's a difficult recovery process, and Scherzer, as durable as he's been, he is getting older, and eventually father time does come for everyone, but man, what a huge boost to this rotation that would be of getting Scherzer back in mid-May as opposed to late June. I really haven't heard much about Tyler Mahle, so we'll see when he comes back. He is expected to come back some point in July. DeGrom is doing some throwing, so that's nice. He is still on track to return at some point in August. Again, with DeGrom, you're just hoping that he is fully healthy, fully stretched out as a starter, and ready for a postseason run, and that the Rangers are still in it, and that matters for DeGrom. It matters that this team is, that he is able to push back and get ready in August and give this team some important starts down the stretch and hopefully on another World Series run. But again, Scherzer is the ultimate wild card for this team. Of how much they're getting from Max Scherzer, how good Scherzer looks when he gets back, and him getting back earlier and feeling healthy and being his Max Scherzer himself. Heck, if he's like 75-80% of a fully actualized Max Scherzer, that is still an exceptional pitcher. That is an all-star level pitcher, and having a 1-2 of your rotation for most of the season being Nate Eovaldi and Max Scherzer while you wait for Mahle and DeGrom to come back. And then you got the back end of your rotation being guys like, Cody Bradford being excellent, Lorenzen being solid. Hopefully John Gray can continue to bounce back, and maybe Dane Dunning can start to put together some better starts where he's not walking as many guys. And then that puts you in a really, really solid spot as a team, especially when you got a bullpen like this that you can trust to throw 4 shutout innings in a game, use those 3 relievers, and a trustworthy closer in Yates. Starting to feel much better about this team. It was not the prettiest 1-0 win, but hey, a 1-0 win, doing something you haven't done in 3 years, makes me feel a whole lot better about this team's ability to tread water and go on that late run like we're hoping at this point this year. That's going to do it for today's show. I'll be back after this afternoon game talking about the John Gray start, hopefully the start of a winning streak for the Rangers. But that's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.